Hello guys, how are you doing? I hope you are well today and welcome to another one of my daily vlogs. Listen, I want to talk today about something that's really important to me, something that's really close to my heart and something which I know is suffered by many people, which is anxiety. Now anxiety is a really common problem and it's suffered by as many as 1 in 10 people, but it's misunderstood and to be honest it's not talked about enough. And that's exactly what I want to do in today's vlog. Now as an anxiety sufferer myself, I find one of the very best ways to deal with it is to talk to people about it. Social media is an amazing way to talk to people about these types of problems, and I thought that, I might as well use my YouTube platform to speak to other people about these issues. Now statistically, some of you guys watching this video will have suffered anxiety in the past or might do in the future, or if not, you will certainly know people in your close circle of friends or family who will have suffered anxiety. One of the biggest problems for sufferers is that very few people understand what anxiety is. I've got a really great movie analogy of what anxiety is, and when I watched this movie I thought, yeah, that's exactly how this feels to me, which is a movie called Life of Pi. I don't know if any of you guys have seen it. It's a terrific movie. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend that you do. Now basically the story is about a boy who becomes shipwrecked and gets stuck on a lifeboat on his own in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, although he has got for company on the boat with him a tiger who is hungry and angry. Now that's a really crazy story, but just think about it for a minute. Anxiety sufferers often feel alone, trapped and helpless. The hungry, scary tiger is the part of a person's brain that wants to make them feel afraid and scared and wants to eat them alive. I hope that makes sense, but just think about that for a second, because when I was watching the movie I was thinking, this is exactly how anxiety feels, It's about a psychological challenge between yourself and your greatest fears. Now there's loads and loads of different types of anxiety. A lot of people suffer from generalized anxiety, which affects most people. You can also have really specific types of anxiety as well. Like you could be really anxious around people in social situations, for example. You might be anxious when it comes to things like flying, or you might even become anxious about health problems. Things like that. There's lots and lots of different types of anxiety, and some of it is short-lived and other types is more chronic and stays with you for a very long time. The symptoms across these types of anxiety can be very similar for all of them, and all of them unfortunately can also lead to really severe physical symptoms and problems which are not so easy to deal with, and they can also have a really serious effect on people's lives. Now I came here on this vlog today to tell you that even as someone who's suffered anxiety for a number of years, since I was really small, it's not something that you need to let control your life. You can live a completely normal life, you can get on with things, you can become a sociable person, you can enjoy yourself and just live a normal, healthy, happy life. Unfortunately, anxiety might be something that lives with you for your whole life, but the key is not to let it control you and for you to control your life rather than the other way around. But while getting on with things, unfortunately I do have this condition, which means that it can come and kick me in the ass at any time. That's just the way anxiety works, unfortunately. But anyway, listen, I wanted to tell you 5 things that I know about anxiety which might help you if you're a sufferer as well. These are kind of tips that I've got which certainly helped me throughout my life, and I know they might help you as well. Number 1, avoid alcohol or any other substances which could increase anxiety. Now if you're old enough, alcohol and other substances might seem like the answer to helping you overcome anxiety, but trust me, in the long run they are not. And while they might make things easier for you on a temporary basis, in the long run they really do affect your health in a number of ways and can actually make your anxiety a lot worse. That's not to say you can't drink at all. I enjoy beer now and again as much as any other normal person, but you need to know limits and you need to control it. Now, alcohol is a type of drug where, yeah, it will give you a short-term boost and it will make you lose your inhibitions. The good side? The bad side, it actually increases anxiety. Now also related to that is sleep. Sleep is something that's really commonly affected by people who suffer anxiety. To stay physically and mentally healthy, you need to have a good sleep. But I know it's not easy. I've been there. I definitely don't get enough sleep sometimes. Don't be afraid to go and look into non-addictive sleeping aids, for example. There is lots of herbal remedies out there that will help you sleep. Now, number 3 is something also really important, which is general health in terms of what you eat. Now this is really important because I have noticed such a big difference in my life since I started to eat healthier and cut out a lot of the bad stuff that I have been eating. If you think about the food that people eat today, there's lots of colourings, there's lots of fat, there's lots of sugar. Okay, in small amounts and controllable amounts are not going to affect you, but over time they can creep up and certain people's bodies react differently. My recommendation is just to try and eat a little bit healthier, eat more fruit, vegetables, Even if that might be difficult for you, it's definitely difficult for me, but I'm finding ways to kind of get around that. Number 4 is something I recommend, is do not be afraid to jump in the ring and grab the bull by the horns. And what I mean by that is face your fears head on. Whatever it is that you are anxious about that causes you anxiety, tackle it. Front on. You know, that's something I've done throughout my life, and it definitely helps you overcome things. I mean, I know a lot of people who suffer anxiety, for example, because of flying in planes. You know, if you are somebody who likes to travel and wants to see the world, I mean, planes are a necessary evil, you just have to get on with it. I know people, as I say, who are crippled with their fear of flying, but get on with it anyway. They have made it become a habit, and just by forcing themselves to do it. And now they can live a normal life, travel, because they are able to get on a plane. I mean, it doesn't mean that they're not still anxious and scared about flying, but they get on with it. Sometimes the best way to overcome certain anxiety factors is just to face it front on. Number 5, this is probably the best advice I can give for all of the different ways to deal with your anxiety, is to talk to people. Go on social networks. There's lots and lots of people on social networks discussing anxiety. Come and speak to me on my YouTube comment section, for example. I will reply and answer to you, and maybe try and even help with some of your specific questions. You know, go on Twitter, go on Facebook. You know, there's lots of people who kind of suffer the same problems, and if you can share these problems, it is a lot easier to deal with them. Trust me about that. Yeah, I certainly find sharing anxiety problems with other people who also suffer it is one of the best remedies. And online you can also find experts, and for example, in the UK there is a charity organisation called Anxiety UK. I'm going to link them down below. They are a really good source of information for anxiety and how to deal with it. Finally, to add to this point, you know, I'd also recommend speaking to a medical professional about anxiety. You know, sometimes it is worth going to discuss it with a doctor. Ask them what the next steps might be. You know, sometimes doctors don't always understand anxiety as well. I do get that. I have experienced that, but you need to at least try that option. Something I just wanted to touch on today, you know, it's something I will expand on in future about my own personal experiences with anxiety. You know, I've not really went into that today, but I will in future. But it was just to kind of touch on it, to say it's an issue that I understand and I get, and let's start a conversation. Let's get that debate going. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and, you know, we can talk about this more.